All right. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I really and truly hope that I am able to share something with you today to help you along your wedding planning process and help your wedding images, but in regarding today's episode, your engagement images even better. And I also want to remind you that if you are enjoying my podcast, my YouTube channel, my blogs, you might also enjoy my book. It's on Amazon. I'll link to everything in the show notes or the YouTube description. So for all of those listening on the podcast, something that I started doing with my last episode was also simultaneously recording this for YouTube. And I waited until my 37th episode to do this because when I first started recording my podcasts, there were lots of portions I had to repeat. There were these long episodes of silence where I was gathering my thoughts. And if I would have also had been making video recordings of my podcast episodes, they would have been horrible. They would have required tons and tons of editing. And right here, for the most part, I am not editing the video recordings much at all. I'm just throwing on a title, trimming the beginning and the end a bit, and just throwing them up on YouTube. In the future, I may get a little more elaborate with these and share some screens and whatnot, share some images. I don't know what I'm going to do, but to give you a hint or an insight as to where I'm going with this, these YouTube recordings are a warm-up to the online or the course that I'm going to be building here relatively soon. So that is what's going on with me. Let's dive right into today's topic, engagement session tips. So as we all know, pretty much across the entire world, from Thanksgiving, if you're in the US, and if not, whatever part of the world you're in, or whatever religious holiday that you celebrate around Christmas time, whatever you're calling it in December, that is centers around your particular religion. From that time until Valentine's Day is what is known as engagement season. And this is when probably, I forget the exact number, but it's something like upwards of 60 to 80% of all the engagements in the world take place. And year after year, December continues to be the most popular month to get engaged in. And so right now, right this very minute, millions of couples are starting their wedding planning journey. So they're shopping venues, they're shopping wedding planners, they're comparing photographers against each other. And one of the very first official tasks that the couples will do together is their engagement session. And the images that result from that engagement session are often used in their save the dates. They are used on or as new profile pictures. They're used on their wedding websites, and eventually even shared at couple showers, wedding showers, and even on some, usually at a table, sometimes even at the centerpiece, the dinner tables at centerpieces on wedding day. So I want to share my tips with you how to prepare for your engagement session with your photographer. So it may seem like a daunting idea. You may not even know where to start, especially if you and your fiance have never taken a formal posed portrait together. Maybe you haven't done that since prom if you're high school sweethearts. So a lot of the questions that may be going on in your mind is, what do we wear? How many outfits can we bring? Where do we go? What do we do with our hands? That is the number one question that I get during an engagement session. What do we do with our hands? Do we have to kiss in front of the photographer? You as a couple may not even be comfortable with sharing any sort of public displays of affection. You may not even be comfortable holding hands. So these are all questions that you may be asking yourself prior to scheduling or having an engagement session. And I just want to preface this with, it's totally normal to feel a tad awkward prior to scheduling the session and even at the beginning of the engagement session. But I just want you to know that just relax and slowly settle into this entire moment and just take all the instruction from your engagement photographer. Hopefully they are experienced and skilled enough to walk you through all this and to give you proper instruction and guidelines to make you feel very comfortable and very relaxed and at ease to calm all your nerves. So the best thing to know is that the more prepared you are and the better you know what to expect will make your engagement session go more smoothly. And as long as you know that the ultimate goal of the engagement session is to just have a testament and celebration of your love with your partner, and that as long as that happens, then everything else was a success. So the single most useful tip that I can give you is just to have fun, relax, and be yourself. Okay, now the next tips are actual tips. And I do want to preface this with, if at any time my tips contradict with what your engagement photographer is telling you, always follow their advice. I don't want to create any kind of conflict or tension between you and your wedding photographer. Okay, so first tip, be on time, especially if your photographer is a natural light photographer and they're not going to be implementing any kind of off-camera flash or any manufactured lighting during your session. Light is the most important part of your photograph, and without good light, you will not get a good image. So if you're late to your session, you should probably know that your session is not going to be extended, but it will in fact end when the good light ends. And that's usually, if you're doing a sunset session, that is usually about the time that the sun sets. And that will vary depending where you are in the world and what time zone you're in. I guess those are one and the same. Ladies, you can use this engagement session as a preview of your wedding day makeup, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I would still recommend doing a trial with your hair and makeup artist, because you don't want to have your hair and makeup turn out horribly and then still have to go through with your engagement session, because you will not be feeling your best if there's something about your hair and makeup that you don't like. But having professional hair and makeup done for your engagement session will make you feel polished and pretty. It will boost your confidence, and it will make you feel like you're on top of the world. Professional hair and makeup is not limited to just females. Guys, I hope you're listening. If guys have any sort of blemishes or reddish tint to their skin, a professional makeup artist can help immensely with this. At one of my recent engagement sessions, it was a 3-hour adventure session, and I spent the entire session just admiring this guy's lower lash line, just thinking how incredible it was and how lucky he must be to have this natural outline of his lower eyelid, and thinking how beautiful his eyes were and how they just said, come to me, and how that must be so alluring for his fiance. And it wasn't until the end of the session, until we were driving back to our meeting place. We were all in the same vehicle. So it was my bride and groom couple, my assistant, and the hair and makeup artist. And I don't remember how this came up in our conversation exactly, but the hair and makeup artist said that she had applied some makeup to Michael, the groom to be, when she did Forrest's makeup. And had she not said that in the car, I would have never had known that he had makeup on his face. So guys, don't be afraid to ask for hair and makeup, on your engagement photo sessions, on your wedding day, if you have problem areas on your skin, or if you want to just make your skin sparkle a little bit, or bring a little bit of twinkle to your eye, because I swear I had no idea that Michael had a little bit of eyeliner on. It looked totally natural. And I swear for 3 hours, I was envying his eyes. Promise. All right, next tip. Bring personal items that will help illustrate your marvelous personalities. If you are into music, bring an iPad or some wireless headphones. If you enjoy writing, bring some journals and pens and watercolor markers. If you love bird hunting, bring some shotguns and your bird dogs. Don't second guess bringing anything to your engagement session. I can never say those words together, but don't hesitate bringing anything to your session that is going to highlight you and your partner's personality. I will just forewarn you to discuss every prop that you are going to bring with your photographer, because no one wants to be caught off guard by your swords, your shotguns, or your steers. And those are all things that I have actually photographed as props as a Texas wedding photographer. Not even kidding, guys. So just remember to discuss every prop you plan on bringing to your session with your photographer, just so that they can plan accordingly. Next tip, bring a change of clothing. And also, this is something you want to discuss with your photographer so that they can plan this out while they're shooting, depending on the length of your session. It may be a 20-minute session. It may be a 2-hour session. It may be a 4-hour session. But you want to discuss how many times you are going to be allowed or permitted to change clothing. But it is nice to have a variety of clothing in the images that will result from your session. I always recommend at least 2 outfits, but usually never more than 4. For example, shoot part of the session in your Sunday best and part in more casual clothing. If you can, these are the 4 outfits that I usually recommend to my couples. Something very casual, like shorts and sandals. A casual outfit, like jeans and a pullover or a button-up, untucked shirt, for example. A Sunday best outfit, something that you might wear to church, something that you might wear to church on the regular. And then a more formal outfit, so think gowns and suits. That way, you have the full gamut of variety in your clothing for the images and your engagement gallery. Now, while we're on the topic of clothing, Do not feel that your outfit has to precisely match with your partner's. So don't feel that you both have to have the exact same color of top, for example. If you do feel that you have to wear the same color of top or shirt, never let that be white or black. Always pick any other color except white or black. And if they are the same colors, try to get them with slightly different tones of color. For yellow, for example, or green or blue. Try to make sure that they're slightly different colors. And if you can, try to make sure that one of them has a very small print or a texture or a pattern in one of the tops. If you need inspiration, Pinterest has tons of information or infographics showing engagement wardrobe ideas. This is for ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that your nails are freshly groomed or manicured. Your hands are going to be in lots of shots, especially the close-ups of your engagement ring. And guys, this going back to the makeup tip, don't be afraid to get your nails groomed. It's not for ladies only. It has nothing to do with your masculinity and everything to do with how well your hands look in your images. Next tip, let your photographer know how much physical contact that you're comfortable with. Let them know whether or not you're comfortable with kissing in public, holding hands, hugging. If any public display of affection makes you nervous in public or in front of other people at this point in your relationship, let your photographer know before the shoot. If there is a location that is special to you, if there's a place that you first met, where he proposed, where you spend every Friday night date, let your photographer know. It may be a place that your engagement session can happen, and it will make your images much more special to you. Okay, so the best scenario is to always have your engagement photographer also be the photographer who's going to shoot your bridal images, your wedding images, and then to also follow that up with a day after session and even your anniversary session. If they do maternity photos, baby photos, family photos, continue to use them. This gives you, going back to before you're pregnant, the engagement, bridal, wedding, day after, all of those photographic opportunities gives you multiple opportunities to work with your photographer prior to your wedding day and gives you the most chances to work with your photographer and build a great rapport with. It gives you a chance to learn how they work, how they pose. And that way, when they do show up to your wedding day, they're not a stranger. They are a friend with a camera, and instantly you are going to relax in front of them. You're going to let down your guard. Your walls are going to come down. And when that happens, your wedding party is going to see that. Your family is going to see that. The rest of your wedding guests are going to see that. And guess what happens because of a result of that? You get blessed with better images because you are not on guard. You are then able to relax and 100% be your authentic self in your images. And then you like your images better. I promise you. So pick a photographer, do all your homework, pick the best photographer that is for you, Don't shop on price alone. Use all my tips for picking a photographer, and then you will get the best results that you can. When you do this, when you use the same photographer for your engagements, your bridals, your wedding day, and you work with them, a number of times, all your images will have the same standards of storytelling, and they will be cohesive in artistry. Again, the best piece of advice is to just relax, be yourselves. And if all else fails, just smile, hold hands, look into each other's eyes, and just whisper sweet nothings into each other's ear, because nothing is more sweet or romantic as seeing a couple in love. All right, I hope your wedding planning journey is working out better than you had ever imagined. If you learned something today, share this podcast or this YouTube channel or wherever you're hearing me or watching me. Share it with somebody who needs to hear this message today. Tell all your engaged friends about me. I would really appreciate that. If you want to know more about my book or podcast, log on to CompleteWeddingEd.com. If you want to know more about my wedding photography, you can learn that at attagirlphoto.com. I have social media accounts pretty much on every platform. I will link to everything in the show notes. If there's ever a topic you want me to cover or a question that you want me to answer, just shoot me an email at tammy@attagirlphoto.com. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope your 2022 is just starting off with a fabulous bang. I hope that you are having an amazing day. I will catch you next time. Adios.